Well, I just went by Sam's to do some long-term provisioning, considering it may be, I don't know when I'll be able to do that again. I usually only do that about 3 or 4 times a year anyway, but under the circumstances, I'm trying to do that the same way that I did with my medicines and my medical appointments and all that, and that's just to make a desperate leap as far out as possible to provision for not knowing as things happen, and they don't always happen for the better, for the way that we would hope. So with all this uncertainty anyway, I'd made out a list, and these are the type things that everybody runs into. I always leave this margin because I can never remember everything, even though I put it on a list. And once you're in the store, you see stuff that triggers your memory, and oh yeah, I should have put that on the list. And I try to be as disciplined and stick to it as possible. And nothing that I bought was trivial, and it was all things that would be very long term. It would store very long term. And I have to take a break here. Well, no, never mind. You never know what people are going to do around here where I'm parked. Sometimes you might have to move. Anyway, I got out of there with about twice what I had planned on. But see, there again, you have to weigh all things. I mean, if you have the money now to, even though you hadn't planned on it and you want to be as disciplined as possible, the money may not be there tomorrow, so you have to jump now. That's where a lot of unwarranted criticism comes from, when you criticize people about, not sticking to a plan. That's why I've said from the beginning, your plans have got to be flexible. It's genuinely stupid to see something you need today and that has to be done today, and to say, oh no, I didn't plan on it, so I just better not spend the money. Well, then something else, you know how it is. Something else always comes along. Another example was this morning. I had an unscheduled, unforeseen service on the vehicle that had to be taken care of, and I did not. It requires special equipment I do not have and cannot do myself. So those are the type things that erode your money away, and that's why you had better spend it now today, even if you happen not to have put it on a list. But like I said, everything I got was none of it was trivial. All of it is long-term, and as soon as I get home, I'll be storing it as long-term storage. And you say or think whatever you want. The ant and the sluggard, there's not a more profound and truer parable in this world than the ant and the sluggard, the ant and the grasshopper. So I'll be the ant any day. I don't care what anybody says or thinks. And the squirrel. So if you don't exercise some discipline, and you know what? Sometimes that discipline expresses itself in going ahead and making a sacrifice today, even though it's not on the list. So you've got the most important rule through all of this, through all this unemployment and this uncertainty and all of that, is flexibility and adaptability. My gosh, if you're not adaptable, these fools that sit back and say it's only going to be one way, my way, period, are the most stupid individuals in this world. Men or women, either one, are genuinely stupid if you sit there and think you can only have it one way. The people who will suffer the least through this depression And boy, I could tell you now there's going to be some, as time goes on, I've heard it over and over again from a lot of alternative media people with very high credibility, very meaningful credibility, say that this depression will be much worse than the one in the 1930s. And as time goes on, I believe it. I see more and more evidence of that. The prices of things in Sam's, my gosh, I couldn't believe how much they've gone up in a year. And some stuff 40, 50%. And this is what's happening. It's what's unfolding. So I'm digging my foxhole as deep and as best I possibly can. And no matter how hard I try, I already know there's no way that anyone, anywhere, can cover all the bases, hard as you may try. There's always the unforeseen, the unpredictable. So be adaptable, be flexible. And if you got to take I don't know after the unemployment benefits run out, and from what I understand, there are no extensions, not in Texas. And there won't be until and unless the unemployment rate, until they quit bald-faced lying about the unemployment rate. And I think that all ended, the truth, anything resembling the truth ended in the 2008 downturn, because they have no intention of ever letting anybody have 99 weeks again. And I'm not saying they should. I don't think that. I'm simply saying that once my benefits run out, I don't know that there will be any income of any kind. So it's best to take the meager resources you have. Yes, the name of the game is stretching it as far as you can, but sometimes, just remember, sometimes that includes having to take the loss today so that the loss 6, 9 months from now, a year from now, isn't as painful as it would have been had you not had any resources. So I'd rather do without today. I would rather be austere today than to wait until it's shoved down my throat in a few months. And, God willing, that, I'll find a job before it gets that bad. But I'm making every preparation humanly possible to prepare for it being that bad. And so far, from what I've seen, it is not at all pleasant. So the only thing saving me now was the discipline I had to prepare thus far. So anyway, before things run out completely, that's why I'm so adamant about getting a year ahead on the mortgage. Because for one thing, I don't want to find myself in the middle of winter facing an eviction, a foreclosure. And that could very well happen. But I'm going to do everything I can to prevent it. So anyway, just by the way, at Sam's, I was telling in a previous video about how you can look for things that are good values and are filling for the least amount of money. And I mentioned the pretzel and the soft drink for $1.78. They also had a hot dog and a drink for $1.70. Everything at the deli, I can really say at Sam's, was reasonably priced. But the key is, whether it's Sam's or anywhere else, go somewhere that you can refill your drink as many times as you want, because that's what's going to stave off the hunger pains. Even if what you eat is very meager, you can feel fuller by refilling your drink, especially any carbonated drink, whether it's sugar or diet soft drink. If it's carbonated, you're going to feel a whole lot fuller, faster, and longer. So that was just a small tip on all that. So anyway, just keep preparing the best you can, and fortify that foxhole. That's what I'm going to be doing.